We're with our friend Barbara Gale, a spiritual and intuitive life coach who uses a scientific approach of palm reading called life purpose hand analysis. And we thought she'd be the perfect person to talk to about the meaning of a handshake. Glad you're here with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me again.
For a few years now, people weren't shaking hands, and it feels like it's become acceptable again to shake hands, which I'm grateful for. I missed that. It was almost unnatural to not be able to shake someone's hand.
We did the bump for a while.
So let's even just talk about what we think a handshake means. And specifically, what do you think a handshake means?
One of the things that I think is important about it is that it was considered a greeting of respect. When we meet someone, we're reaching out our hand to them in a way of greeting in a respectful way and to acknowledge them and to almost agree. When we look at it in sportsmanship, it's an agreement to be in trustworthy behavior and to be kind and to be honest and follow the rules, if you will. And if you also look at the handshake as the way that you sign on an agreement, it's also, okay, I agree to these terms. We just had a verbal agreement. Now we're shaking on it, right? We're saying, yes, I agree to these terms. So we have different traditions in which we use that, and often we use it as a congratulation. When it's at the end of a ceremony, we're all grabbing each other and shaking hands. And of course, my circle, we all hug.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah.
High five, right?
Yes, and there's many different versions of handshakes that have come along as well that have different meanings. But the tradition of the way that we looked at it and a judgment of whether this person has character or not, that was more of a business. Looked at a handshake as how do we assess someone's character from their handshake? And there are things we can learn from a handshake from a person.
Yeah. What are the different personality types and how do you think that they come through in a handshake?
I think there's an overly zealous kind of handshake that is eager to impress, might be someone who aggressively, squeezes a hand too heartily, and that wouldn't be comfortable for just about anyone. So I think the proper etiquette is maybe to greet a person at the same level that they're reaching out to you, if you will. And a greeting of respect, you wouldn't be trying to overly overpower them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
An extroverted person might be a little more enthusiastic and a little more aggressive in their vitality and their handshake. But an introverted person, have you ever shaken the hand of someone that just barely places their hand in your hand and there's no vitality there? It's like a person is almost withdrawing into them.
Right.
So it's more of an indication of them being very introspective than maybe, I'm not sure how people would read that, but it may leave some people with a feeling of, I'm not sure what I think about that person, or that didn't feel good, or, you know what I'm saying? A wet, clammy hand doesn't feel good. I've had people that I shake my hands and I think, what is my impression? Do I have an impression when I shake I'm not thinking about what impression I'm making when I'm shaking someone's hand. I'm more or less shaking it out of a greeting of respect. So I hope that my true self comes across in that handshake.
I like to think that from a tradition perspective, almost universally, no matter what country you're from, the hand is the thing that you lead with. And how is that symbol almost energetically of who you are?
I was literally just going to say that because one of my mantras is you are the energy you bring to the room. And so I always think about that whenever I'm entering any room, even if it's just my office by myself. Because then I know I may be getting on Zoom and what am I bringing? So to your point, I was going to say the same thing. To me, it's an extension of your energy. And what does that say? And how interesting that is what we lead with.
In body language, we're reading the energy, right?
Yeah. And sometimes I even know with myself, I almost try to read the person that I'm giving the handshake to. You know how sometimes people come at you and they're really extending their energy at you versus kind of meeting you halfway. It's more about them versus them meeting you where you are. I always try to just get a sense of like whose energy is coming at me and meeting them. Because sometimes you feel comfortable with a two-handed handshake.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It was extending a little bit more of who you are to them. And then other times you feel like almost even your body language coming back and just really being, okay, I'll meet you where you are, but I feel like maybe you're not really meeting me where I am.
And a lot of the setting and the people that you're meeting has a lot to say about that. If it's an intimate setting where you're meeting friends and you're meeting best friends of other people's friends or something, that's a completely different setting than complete public situation. You're meeting people that you don't know at lunch or dinner or something that you haven't even opened a conversation with them yet.
Yeah.
It's just getting over the awkward greeting, if you will.
Do you think, Barbara, the handshake became something of the symbology of who you are because of the palm print, because there is so much information there? Do you think that is
It is
how it evolved?
It is truly an appendage that is an extension of ourself and our energy. But also, we have more neurotransmitters that are connected from the brain to the hand than any other part of life. So it may have something to do with that. It is an extension of our energy, of who we are and our connection to our brain.
Wow. And I love too, Karen, you pointing out what we've all talked about on our podcast, which is this being really the two of them, but really that they are maps of our souls. So there is this feeling of extending that map of who you are to someone else's in a more tangible way, even though what we're already feeling and what we're talking about is the energy that's surrounding it. And so it helps me look at it in a very different way.
I'm offering you to meet me.
I love that. I feel like we need to transcend to a new layer of what do I want to extend into the field? Energy am I bringing to, like you say, to the room? What energy am I bringing to this conversation, to this meeting, to this, how can I be of service to this exchange? If we can come to a new understanding of what we want a handshake to be, bring back the honesty, the symbol of respect, and bring in the agreement of receptivity.
Yeah, receptivity. Definitely.
Yeah, and connecting soul to soul, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like you're connecting soul to soul. Yeah.
It's almost a physical namaste.
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
And it is really something where it's used in so many different settings, both with completely new acquaintances, as well as friends and people you haven't seen in a long time. But it's like you think about it's used in all these different contexts. And it's like that meeting of the souls.
I don't think I'll ever look at it the same way again. It's an opportunity, right? Rather than it just being a formality, it's an opportunity for yourself to someone else on that soul level.
And you're meeting them at a place of respect and agreement and trustworthiness.
Yeah. And it's, I see you. I think we all want to be seen. And it's, I see you. I acknowledge you.
The best handshakes I've ever had are the ones that is both the connection with the hand as well as the eyes.
Eyes. Ooh.
You and holding your hand and really, they feel, to your point, Robin, it's like, I feel seen in that.
And that's part of to make eye contact, the handshake. It's probably feels more rude or distant or no connection without an eye contact in it.
Oh, it's so true. I love how every conversation we have, there's always an aha moment of things that we just don't think about and yet offer so much insight into us better understanding each other.
Thank you. We were just interested in what this could mean. And now we'll never look at our handshake the same again. So thank you.
Thank you.
High five, Bob.
Yeah, high five. Seriously.
High five, everyone.